Hey guys, welcome to Joe's RC Corner, and today we're going to be back on the Cricket, so stay tuned. We're going to do some more electrical. Hey guys, welcome back to Joe's RC Corner, and today we're going to be back on the Cricket. Just got back from a vacation, so ready to start working. So today, as you know, we finished up the cowl last week. We still have a lot of body work to do to get that thing looking really nice and blending it into the fuselage beautifully. However, it is mounted and everything works great on it. I can pull the pins on the side. I got the downsized pins in there, so the side ones and the top just comes right off. Having that hinge on the outside to me makes things a lot easier to go ahead and get that pin back in, because I can line it up on the outside and then just slide that pin right through. Now I did sharpen the point on the pin so it does self-guide, and I also wiped it down with some WD-40 to give it a little bit of lubrication, and that sucker just slides right through. So that's great. I'm happy with that. The side pieces over here, on one side it works out perfectly. The other side, the cowl is a little bit too far away, so I'm going to have to decide still. I haven't finished. I only left those clecoed right now and not in their final sizes, because what I want to do is try to take a look at it and see if there's anything else that I can do, because one side does not match up with the fuselage very well, and I'd probably get away with not using that section and just add a smaller amount of pin there, and kind of separate it into multiple pieces of pin rather than having one long pin right through here on the other side of the plane. But I haven't decided yet, and I am hoping that y'all can maybe put a comment down below on what I should do, because I cannot get that piece of the hinge flush with the cowl. So because of that, I can't get the pin through once if that's hardened or pinned, or once that's riveted in place. So we're gonna have to take a look at that a little bit later, but that part I'm happy with how that's come out so far. So what we're gonna do next today is I need to get back on that electrical. So we're gonna pull the cowl and get that removed from the airplane, so that way I can remove that top skin there, bend that back up again, and pull my instrument panel and my center console out. And then we're going to go ahead and get started on that. So stay tuned, guys, and let's get back to work. Okay, guys, so what we just finished here, I don't know if how much you saw in the time lapse, but we went ahead and I made one bus bar here, and that's going to fit right across the bottom, which is the power side of my circuit breakers. So this is going to be my first template, and I'm going to make another one for here and one for here, and they're all going to be attached on one side, and then that's all going to go out to different ports and locations. So that is the first starting point here for my breakers. All right, guys, let's keep working. Okay, guys, so here's my logic on my buses here for my circuit breakers. So this top one is not going to be connected to this power bus, and the reason for that is this is going to be my 30 amp breaker for my airframe, and that is separated from my engine instruments here. So I'm going to come from my bus to the to my engine, and then these will go out to the switches. And so I got my 25 and so on, 5, 5, 5, etc. So basically that's the starter. That would be the engine, fuel pump 1, fuel pump 2, alternator field, and my engine monitoring system here. And then this is my 30 amp breaker that's going to power all the rest of my avionics. So it's going to come into here, out of this to here, and then this is also going to be connected to here. Now these are going to be powered that way, and this is all my all the other avionics. Now from here also I have to go down to my fuse box that has that's going to be for my USB port, chargers, and a few other items, heater, things that are not critical, dome light, and so on. So but everything else will be on these breakers here. So I just relocated my 30 amp one to keep it away from my engine. So this will now go from here to here to here to here. Now that'll all be powered, this one, and then I'll have one from one of these locations as well. Will go down to my fuse block, and one will go to my main bus coming off the airframe, or off the battery system. So that's where we are right now. The other thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be going back over here, and we will be getting all of my wiring from the switches and get all those connected to all the parts. So batteries will need to be mounted onto that. Fuel pump 2, those will all go to the breakers system here, which actually I think I'm going to go from here to my bus here, terminal block here, and then same thing for everything else. It's all going to go to that terminal block as well, power from the and then switches to a terminal block. So so from the engine ones, engine avionics will go to here, and then from here out to everything else. So that's where we got. We're going to keep going. Okay, guys, so we got a lot done here. As you can see, mostly up here to the front. So now we do have my battery masters are now connected. My fuel pump wires are now connected. And my alternator field is now connected. And my switch, my starter switch, is now wired up. And we're going to get to the other side and make it a little easier to see. So here's my breaker setup for the engine side. I haven't done anything with connecting any of my avionics power-wise to this yet. But the power is going to them now. Same with my fuse box for my non-essentials, which can be accessed either from underneath here. I can just swap it out, or I can pull that front panel off because there's some slack here to be able to tilt that forward. So as you can see, we have the, so this is for my engine starter right here. So that's the engine starter, that's the 25 amp fuse or breaker. Then we have the fuel pump 1 and 2, which are on 5 amp fuses, and then alternator field, which is also on a 5 amp fuse, all going around nice and tidy, and going down to the switches through my grommet there, and then they come back up to the terminal. So right now I don't have my fuel line or my fuel pump wire ran to the back yet. I'm gonna have to order some more wire so I can make a harness that goes back there. So all my power leads are, I'm thinking I'm gonna run them this side, and all of my antenna wires are gonna go that way. So I need to run my fuel pump 1 and fuel pump 2 back to the back to the fuel pumps, and then we should be almost ready to start the engine, because as you can see, if I turn on my master switches here, there's 1, there's 2, and then if I grab my key, fuel pumps are off because they're not connected to anything. But if I grab my key and listen, she runs, she tries to start. So that part is done now. I'm really happy with it. It's looking pretty nice and neat there. But I will need to order some more fuel line or some more wire to feed back into a wiring harness all the way to the back. And I'm going to run them through the holes over here. So along the side here in a some loom tube like this. And that's going to run through and into the back, and go ahead and power up the fuel pumps back there. So we're getting close there, guys. That's all looking really nice. I'm liking that. Then we're going to start wiring all the avionics, getting power to everything. I'm going to have to put another terminal block, or I may just run everything straight to their breakers here. So power from this right into the breaker, and then so on and so on. So I do also have one of my leads. I'm going to daisy chain these on one breaker, one fuse. I just need to figure out where I want to put my other USB port. I'm not quite sure yet, so I'm going to have to think about that some. So I have my. So this top row is pretty much done except for the EIS up here. The EIS, I still need to run the power to that, but I haven't run any of the circuit breakers for any of that stuff yet. So, getting there. Let's go ahead and turn those off. So, all set, ready to go. I did also order a charger for the batteries, and it's got a dual port, and it's AGM smart chargers for these AGM batteries. And I'm going to put I'm thinking about putting a charge port somewhere on the side of the outside of the airplane. That way it's easily accessible. I can plug in my plane when I park it back at the hangar, and that will keep these batteries tendered. So that way I don't come out to the airport and go ahead and try to start the plane and have no power. So that's going to take care of that part. So that's all done. Let me think about what my next steps are going to be, and we'll get back to it. Okay, guys, so we're gonna call it for today. We got quite a bit done. So I finished fishing through my sensor wires that came from the engine bay, and they are labeled, as you can see. Not sure if it's gonna focus on it or not. So we have coolant temperature, oil pressure is this one. There we go. And then gearbox oil, gearbox temperature is here. There we go, coolant, gearbox. Anyways, so we do have those all fished through, and they are wrapped in the loom tube here. They're going through the box here, and they're connected there. So this is the oil pressure sender. So that's been attached. And then we have the wire that comes up and around, following the fuel lines. Then we have the gearbox temperature sensor, and back in there, right down in there, is the coolant temperature sensor. We've completed most of the engine wire in here. We don't have the power going back to the fuel pumps yet because I need to get some longer wire. I ran out of my 14 gauge wire, which is what I was going to use to feed back along and get to the fuel pumps. So I'm going to have to order some more because I wanted to kind of route it nicely around the firewall and then down and inside some loom tube and going all the way back. Going all the way back and through and back there. That's going to go along the side here. What I did also make up is I'm going to be using my Stratix here, and that's going to be mounted under the seat back here, right down inside here. And I'm going to be using the this 5-volt regulator. Takes the 12 to 24 volt, and then puts out the USB power to run this. That will run the unit, and the GPS is also going to be routed up through this loom tube here, and that's going to be routed up along here. So that's all going to come up into this area here, and that will then connect to all my avionics sections and so on. So we still got a lot of avionic wiring to do here. So we got to still connect the we got to get all the parts together here. The wiring for the GPS needs to come out and round and go up into the front there, which is probably going to go on the other side to keep them separated from the power cables here. And then also the transponder needs to go down. The radio wires need to go. Everything needs to be connected. So we still got quite a bit of wiring here to do, but that is a wonderful start. So this top section here is pretty much all connected except for the EIS. I did swap the 30 and the 25 amp. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I did here. Jan wants you to use a fuse, which is not a problem, but I wanted to use a breaker that separates my avionics and also the airframe section. So my avionics bus here is separated with a 35 amp breaker master switch here for my avionics. Then my 30 amp breaker here is separating this section from the engine. So the engine is on its own breaker bus here. My avionics is on its own 35 amp breaker bus that's over there. And then my lights and trim, flaps, all that fun stuff here is separated from all my engine as well. So everything is separated. Everything is segregated, as you can see from the back side. So we have, this is the last wire here coming down and going to this fuse box, which is non-flight critical parts. That's what I'm using the fuse panel for on that. So there's only 4 things on there: my dome light, my Stratix, my USBs, chargers, and my heater right here, as you can see. Right, so we still got to wire up the rest of that. Yeah, so that's how that's going to wire up there. So that's just breaking off of that airframe bus here down to those fuses. So we have all my breakers that are using, they're connected through a copper connector. So this is engine. This last one is on its own. It's not connected to this bus, and that is then connected to this line here through this wire right there. This one then goes down and around and connects to my main distribution bus here. Okay, so everything is still segregated. It all gets power from this one bus here, but everything is separated under its own breaker from that point. So we will be starting to do the wiring to get the power. So all my avionics will be screwed in directly into this, because this is now powered by the 35 amp breaker down there. So that's all this. My EIS is going to be powered on the engine monitoring, because I want that to have power with my engine. So that's engine related. Everything else that's not engine related is from this down: avionics and my airframe. So I'm still going to need to get a terminal block, because I want to run everything from my avionics from this section here down to a terminal block, but I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to put it yet. I'm leaning towards putting it on that firewall over there, and then having all the avionics then go back to the main bus over there. Maybe do another ground bus for all of this stuff here. So, but that's going to be the next steps. So tomorrow, maybe tomorrow we will start connecting those and figuring out where that terminal is going to go, and then start getting all that wired together. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it for the day. Like I said, I'm really happy with how this is coming out so far. I got my panel mounted here, and I'm really liking this, guys. It's coming out really good, nice and clean on the wiring. I'm sure it could be cleaner, but you know what? It is what it is. It's looking good, and I'm happy with it. So let's see what we can get done tomorrow, guys.